Hello, students. So, welcome back. And now we need to talk about the definitions that we need to know for our first quiz and start to get into the content of the class. So, I hope you enjoy learning about macroeconomics, the economics of large markets, how very large markets like countries, world markets, trade, foreign exchange, world money markets, where millions of people are involved. That's called macro, which means large in Greek. And we're going to be studying macroeconomics. So we're going to start with some definitions for you below. There's a nice video from Beyonce when she was very young about being a survivor. So why is it important to look at this from the standpoint of a survivor on a desert island? The video is just for your entertainment. Because economics, the definition of economics is the study of what? It's a study of making decisions under scarcity. None of us ever has enough, correct? Do you have enough time to do everything you ever wanted to do? Maybe you thought about being a rock star or a rap star when you were a kid. Maybe you thought about being a basketball star, baseball star when you were a kid. Maybe you thought about being president or ruler of the whole world. Maybe you thought about being an artist or a poet or a writer, an engineer, a scientist, a physicist, an astronaut going to the moon. You don't have time to do all these things, correct? So economics means you have to make a decision because you don't have enough time. If you look at Elon Musk or Bill Gates or any of these super rich people, Mark Zuckerberg, do they have to worry about taking an economics class and understanding how to allocate their time? No, they don't. They have so many billions of dollars, they don't know what to do with it. And they just give it away for the most part, at least when you're older, like Bill Gates. And they don't know what to do with their money. So they don't have to worry about, well, should I buy an extra apple or an extra orange today because I want to make sure I fit in my budget. Should I buy two cars or one car? They don't have to worry about that. They can buy whatever they want, right? So they don't have to worry about economics, take an economics course, but you do, okay? Because you need to understand how to make choices. And the choices we make, best way to look at it is under scarcity, is pretend that you are trying to survive on a desert island and you have to make your best choices how to survive. You would write a list of what are my 1, 2, 3 choices that I need to survive on a desert island. Do that list in your head or on a piece of paper, and then evaluate what's the most important thing for my survival. What are the 3 most important things? Because if you pick one and you're at a desert island or in a survivor show, you may not have time to get the other ones that day. If you pick water, you may not have time to find food or shelter or clothing or a weapon or fire to boil the water and make it clean. So you may be hungry, you may be cold, you may be starving, you may be thirsty, you may not have time to fish, for example. So you have to trade off and give up something. This is the main idea of economics, okay? We call it opportunity cost. What's an opportunity cost? The cost of the path not taken, the choice you didn't make, the second choice that you gave up. So, for example, if you decide to go to college and turn down a $30,000 job, then your opportunity cost for going to the college is the $30,000 job that you turned down. And what other costs are involved? Maybe another $20,000 in debt that you incur for going to college, which you would not incur if you were working. So that would be $50,000 altogether. So your opportunity cost is, what's the cost of not taking your second choice? Okay, because you have to weigh in your 2 hands like a scale or a balance. What am I going to buy? What am I going to spend my money on? What am I going to spend my time on? If you decide to party all night the day before the test is due, then your opportunity cost will be the bad grade you got in the test, right? You're losing an A and maybe getting a C or an F, right? But you weighed that against partying for 5 or 6 hours, right? So these are the choices you have to make, because economics is a study of making choices under scarcity. And therefore, you're always going to have to balance. We're going to do two choices at a time because this is the first year course. We try to focus on two things at a time, and you're going to balance those two things. And your cost, what you miss out on, is what it costs you to turn down the second choice. Maybe in life you have a choice of partners, your high school sweetheart and your college sweetheart, and you have to give one up. And you don't have to, but you may have to give one up and choose one to marry or partner up with. And then the one that you gave up, you may regret it later. Who knows? But that will be your opportunity cost, is the fact that you gave up that relationship with that person. So it's not all about money. It's about choices, because we are human beings living on a 24-hour clock, half of which or a third of which we sleep in. And therefore, we don't have an infinite amount of choices. We live in a finite material world. And so we have to make choices under scarcity. That's economics, okay? And opportunity cost is your second choice, what that costs you. Macroeconomics means large markets like the US economy, the German economy, the world economy, the world gold market, the US oil market, anything that's not local. It's going to involve probably millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people in a small country like a Cuba or Dubai. It's going to involve a whole group of people, a whole very large group of people. It's not your household budget. That's microeconomics. That's small. Micro means small, like microwave. And it's not one business. Okay, that's also microeconomic. It's all the businesses, maybe all the energy businesses, all the oil businesses, the whole business in the economy. Now, when we look at the whole economy, we're talking about GDP, which is gross domestic product. Gross doesn't mean disgusting here. It means everything altogether. Domestic means it's made in the country, and product just means everything that gets made. So everything that gets made gets sold in the country in a year is that country's production. It's that country's total gross, made at home, domestic product. So domestic means in the house, gross means everything, and products just means goods. So that's everything the economy does, all the jobs, all the workers, all the hours you put in, all the products on the shelves, everything that's done that year is gross domestic product. Now, we don't count if you have an American company and they make something overseas. So if Ford makes a car in Paris, France, that's not part of gross domestic product. Why? Because it doesn't really benefit society here that much, right? If something is made here, they're going to hire people here. They're going to buy for a car, the glass, the tires, the metal. They're going to buy the goods here. They're going to hire people here. It helps our country. It helps our society. So we like to focus on one country at a time. So gross domestic product is what's going to help you here, okay? What's made here. If Ford makes something in Japan, we don't care, okay? That's not gross domestic product, right? On the other hand, if Nissan, which is a Japanese company, if they make something here, they're going to hire you. They're going to hire Americans. They're going to buy American steel and American glass for the car and American rubber for the tires. They're going to buy everything here. All that money is going to flow into the US. So it doesn't matter that Nissan is owned by the Japanese and they're going to ship 10%, 15% profit back home. That's a tiny piece of the pie. Most of the money for production is costs, and most of the costs will be here. So even if a foreign country makes something here, it's domestically made. So gross domestic product, everything made here. The opposite of that is gross national product. So gross domestic product, we care domestic where it's made. But gross national product, we care what nation owns it. So who makes it? So please remember, gross domestic product means what domestic country is it made in? Where is it made? But gross national product depends on what country owns it or who makes it. So, for example, if Nissan makes a car here, okay, they're employing people here. It's part of our gross domestic product. But we don't own Nissan in the US, right? So it's part of Japan's gross national product because it belongs to that nation. Okay. If Ford makes a car in Paris, they're not employing anybody in the US. It doesn't do us any good in the US as a society. They're not buying a lot of goods in the US to make the car. They're making it over in France. It's not part of our domestic product. It's not made here. The where is not here. WHERE. On the other hand, they do own it. Ford does own a car it makes in France. They do own the product. They own the company. They own the profits. So it's part of our gross national product if Ford makes a car in France, because who owns that car? It's a US national company. National means who owns it. So please remember, domestic product means where it's made. Gross national product means who makes it, what nation makes it, what nation owns it. Where for gross domestic product, who for gross national product. That's going to end our discussion of definitions for this slide.